Hello, this is Dave Birmingham, Director of Product Management from Steelite Technology. Today I will be demonstrating how Steelite DataKeeper Cluster Edition can be used to provide both high availability and disaster recovery for SharePoint Server. DataKeeper Cluster Edition is our host-based replication solution that works in conjunction with Microsoft's Windows Server failover clustering to enable multi-site clusters for high availability and disaster recovery. Basically, DataKeeper does block-level replication of a volume on server A to another volume on server B. DataKeeper Cluster Edition enables these replicated volumes to be used in the Windows Server failover cluster. This allows administrators to build clusters without the use of shared storage, thus enabling multi-site clusters for a combination of high availability and disaster recovery. Multi-site clusters give you the highest recovery point objective and recovery time objective available by keeping a real-time copy of your data in sync at an off-site location and enabling recovery of applications in mere seconds after the failure of your primary server. Contrary to popular belief, this is neither difficult or overly expensive to accomplish. In Microsoft Windows Server 2008, clustering for mere mortals was the official motto of the cluster team. They really built upon a good product in MSCS and eliminated many of the hurdles which made clustering for mere mortals a reality. When combined with Steelite DataKeeper Cluster Edition, an easy and affordable multi-site cluster is readily obtainable. Windows Server Failover Clustering is the name of the new failover clustering feature in Windows Server 2008. In this demo today, I'm going to show you what a multi-site SQL Server 2008 cluster looks like and demonstrate how it can be used to ensure the availability of your SharePoint web app even in the event of a complete site loss. Okay, let's get started with the demo here. What you see is some remote desktop connections to the servers using in my demonstration. I have two SQL Server cluster nodes, Gibson and Fender. I have a Windows SharePoint Services front-end node called Martin. I have a domain controller, DC1. These are all virtual machines running on Microsoft Hyper-V, so I have a connection to the host operating system, the hypervisor, so we'll be able to control the virtual machines from here. We're going to do some hard failures and watch how we recover. Okay, so what I have open here is a Microsoft Management Console with the Failover Cluster Management GUI installed and the Steelite DataKeeper GUI. So let's take a look at the Steelite DataKeeper GUI. It's a Microsoft Management Console snap-in. It has the look and feel of any other Windows administration tool. Within DataKeeper, we have this concept of jobs. A job is just a logical collection of mirrors. So you take an action on a job level, it affects all the mirrors within that job. In this particular job, I have a job pre-configured called SQL Replication. Consists of just one mirror of the E volume replicating currently from Fender to Gibson across the 10 network. We see the state is mirroring. We get some more information down here about the source server and target server. And we also have some standard reports. You can get a job overview report, shows you some of the same information, or server overview report, which breaks it down by server, gives you a view, shows you Fender is currently the source, and Gibson is currently the target, mirroring. So all this is really good, especially when you have multiple jobs and multiple servers in the jobs. Gives you a good overview of what's going on in your environment. In Failover Cluster Management, I have pre-configured a SQL Server cluster resource. We see that the cluster name is MS SQL 2008 cluster. Has an IP address associated with it. A traditional cluster would have its data on a shared disk array, but with DataKeeper Cluster Edition, we replaced the shared storage with replicated storage. So we have the E volumes, which are currently being replicated from Fender to Gibson. The E volume is just a local attached SAS drive on each server, and DataKeeper is controlling the replication. And when we integrate with failover clustering, so failover clustering will actually control the mirrors. So when we switch over, it will reverse the direction of the mirror and so forth. So let's take a look at our application, and we'll do some switchovers and failovers. Okay, so I've opened up Internet Explorer, connected to demo, which is the load balanced name of our SharePoint front end servers. And I'm going to go ahead and make a new announcement here, and we'll just say that we're running on Fender before the switchover. Alright, so here we go. Running Fender before switchover. Okay. We'll leave that up and running, and we'll go ahead and do a switchover. So within the Failover Cluster Management GUI, if you want to move the SQL resource from the current node Fender to the standby node, you right click on the resource, move to node Gibson, and then we'll watch the status of these resources going offline and online. We'll see that the DataKeeper volume is online pending. Basically what's happening at this point is the mirror is going to reverse directions. So now Gibson will be the source, and anything written to Gibson will be replicated back to Fender. And once everything is online, we'll go back and let's look at our application here. We'll go ahead and add a new announcement. Now say we're running on Gibson after switchover. SharePoint has a bug. You get this render failed the very first time you connect, but you just refresh the web page and we get the message here. And so we see we have the old message, the new message. Now let's go back to cluster management, and we'll see we're running on Gibson. If we look at SQL DataKeeper, we see now that the Gibson is now the source, the target is Fender. It is mirroring. So what we just wrote was mirrored back to Fender. And now let's do a unexpected failure. So we're live on Gibson. If I were simply, again, this is the virtual machine, I'm going to turn it off, simulate it, pull the power cord. So this is not a clean shutdown. Unexpected shutdown. Let's go back and look at Fender. Let's look at the SQL resource, and we'll see we're already recovering. Once the recovery completes, we'll check out the application again. So DataKeeper is going to reverse the mirror. Right now what it's trying to do is it's trying to connect back to the failed server Gibson, and it's going to time out in a moment and realize that it's not going to be able to connect because it's offline. But it's going to come online, and while it's in that state, any changes that occur on on Fender will be tracked in what we call a bitmap file, an intent log that basically tracks all the blocks that change while a mirror is not in a mirroring state. And the good thing is the log file never grows in size, so you can be offline for as long as you like, and when Gibson does come back online, we will just send the changes that occurred while it was offline. So we see the recovery completed, everything is online. If I look at the SQL DataKeeper GUI, I see I get this little warning now. So I have to see what's going on with my job. So I see that it's not in the mirroring state. The resync is pending, and we'll go back to our application. And let's go ahead and add a new entry. We'll say running on Fender after what I call failover. A failover is an unexpected failure. So that's being written. Again, we get that render failed first time you reconnect. Refresh. Here it is. And that was now that block that changed to track that that entry I just made into the database will be replicated as soon as Gibson comes back online. So let's go ahead and turn Gibson back on and watch what happens. We don't have to do anything. It basically, as soon as Gibson starts back up, the mirror will go back into a mirroring state. So look here, and we'll see that this goes back into a mirroring state without any user intervention. Okay, I just paused the recording for a moment to give Gibson a few moments to get going, It's just about started. We see that it's still in a resync pending state. We'll see that Gibson is still booting up at this time, and once it completes the boot up, we'll go back and watch the mirror go back into a mirroring state. Oh, it's already back in the mirroring state. So that really completes the demonstration for today. What we saw that DataKeeper was replicating the E volume from Fender to Gibson. We did a switch over through the failover clustering GUI, moving the SQL Server resource from the Fender server to the Gibson server. And then we had a hard failure. So while it was running on Gibson, we pulled the power cord, watched Fender come back on service. We made some changes. We brought Gibson back online. We watched the mirror go back into a mirroring state once Gibson fully recovered, and now we're back fully protected. So I want to thank you for your attention today, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.